I am a musician, and I once collaborated on a song with Paul McCartney, or I should say Sir Paul McCartney. And luckily the song was that good that we managed to play Wembley Stadium. The only problem was, when I woke up, I could remember everything but the song. Now, my point is this. The heart of nature being everywhere music. That is how I see my universe, okay? I'm fortunate enough to be extremely passionate about what I do. So, music is how I interpret, it's how I connect, it's also how I communicate with the world, but it's also more fundamental than that for all of you as well. I'm going to show you a quote that I really, really like from Mr. Charles Darwin. He says that music was part of sexual selection, therefore it is instinctive in all of us. It's formed part of our evolution, and some even suggest that, I'm not sure if that's true by the way, but he's a favorite author of mine. I really like it. Some anthropologists suggest that it predates language. And you can see that in language itself. Maybe music created our language. You can see in the intonation of language, the way a language rises and it falls and it stresses certain words. So, talk today is how music inspires change. Now, let me tell you something about musicians and artists and creativity. If you're passionate about it and you love it, it's something that you have to do every day. And I've talked to numerous musicians and creative people and artists about this. It's similar to an addiction. However, it's not an addiction. I see addiction as something which you consume, something which you have to take, something which you need. Being a musician, being an artist, it's not about taking or consuming. It's about giving. It's about releasing. It's something that you need to get out every single day. So, it is so powerful because the people that play need to do it like that, and the people who listen can understand it. Everyone can understand music, unless you have a certain empathetic disorder. Everyone can understand it. You've all felt shivers at certain times, I'm sure, in a song, whether it be a Chopin suite or Slash playing November Rain when he hits that high E in the solo. It gives me a shiver every single time. So, what I thought, and what a group of us thought a while ago, was if it's so powerful, how can we utilize it to do something good? And we thought, well, why don't we play music to plant trees? Trees are good. You all know that. I don't need to tell you why. We just didn't know how to plant the trees because we're musicians and artists. So we went searching for an organization who planted trees. And it took us a while, but we found, next slide, Mr. Dave Debnar. He's the big fella on the left of the photo. Dave's from Texas. He was a farmer, then he was an economist, and then he joined the Peace Corps in the early 70s. And what he found when traveling around the Third World in the Peace Corps was that poverty in the Third World had something in common in every country, or most countries that he went to, was that where there was poverty, there was a degraded environment, and the people couldn't sustain themselves, so the environment would become more degraded. So what he designed was a program which utilized agroforestry. Essentially, he built something called a forest garden. Now, a forest garden is where the scientists go into the area and they determine what the area needs. If the water table's relinquished or it's not working anymore, they put in trees to bring the water table back. And what happens is that allows more plants to be planted. Then what they do is they, on levels on top of the original foundation, they plant trees which can be used as fuel, so people can burn them, which is important. They can use them as food. And the one that I like the most is they can use it as produce to sell. So they can start businesses. And the economy can grow. So what happens is they start this forest garden and the community gets involved. Everyone helps because they see it as a way of sustaining themselves at that time and for their future generations. Now, I got an email from Dave this morning, and it was an update on 2010 and what they've achieved for 2010. In 2010, Dave and the Trees for the Future team, which is the organization, planted 17 million trees in over 50 countries around the world. So you can imagine what effect that would have had on the local communities. So, Music for Trees. We thought, that's our man, that's our guy, we're going to help him. We're going to do what we do, and we're just going to give him all our money. And it worked. We told our friends who were in bands, and they came to our shows, and they played music, which is what we wanted them to do, so we were lucky. Here's some of them. What happened is when people found out that some of their favorite artists were playing at one of our shows, we built our own community. And it's been building ever since. Our last show was celebrating World Environment Day. That was on the 5th of June, and we had Dr. Jane Goodall up there in the middle on the left. She came out to Australia and spoke at one of our shows, and it was one of the most inspiring speeches that I've ever seen. She's an incredible woman. I highly recommend you guys looking that up, Dr. Jane Goodall. Now, we launched last July, so we're celebrating our anniversary this year, 12 months. In that 12 months, we've had 4 shows and we've planted 80,000 trees. Now, as part of 17 million trees is not a lot, okay? We know that, but it's a start and we're very proud of that. This image that I've got here is an image that was created at our first show. So what we wanted to do when, for instance, if you guys were at a show and we wanted you to give us a little bit of money to plant some trees, we also wanted you to feel involved and we wanted an interactive element. So we got you to draw your trees. So that is about 400, maybe 450 people drawing their trees. It's not the whole chalkboard. The chalkboard was quite large. And that represents 450 people planting 20,000 trees. So we're pretty stoked at that. Now, I feel weird on stage just speaking and not playing music. So I'm going to play you a song now, a song that I've written for you guys today. Put this down here. It's about throwing caution to the wind in some way. It's called Throw It Away. Why don't we just take it all and lay it flat as paper out on table 2? Fold it here and fold it there, make it straight so it will fly far, far from view. Fortune aside, caution aside, don't know why. If it flies, throw it all away. Yeah. we'll have too much to do. We joke about time, then it's all too soon. All our days like this are few, it's only once, and don't you let life kidnap you. Fortune aside, caution aside, don't be surprised if it flies. Throw it all away, yeah. Throw your caution to the wind and float away. Yeah, just throw it all away. Fortune aside, caution aside, don't be surprised if it flies. Fortune aside, caution aside, don't be surprised if it flies. Throw it all away. Throw it all away. Throw it all away. Throw it all away. Thank you very much.